And let's stay with this particular story and speak to Dr Harlan Cloete, from the University of the Free State's Centre for Gender and African Studies Research Fellow. Dr Cloete, thank you so much for your time. Before we even get into a lot of what was said there by Solly, I'm just keen to hear your thoughts on what has now taken place in the city of Tshwane. The 6th mayor is out and there's a new one coming.
Good evening to you and good evening to your viewers. You know, I think this is the first salvo in the run-up to local government elections 2026. I think the ActionSA looked around after their bad showing in 2024 with their first national elections, and they looked at what they need to do to make sure that they do better in 2026, or at least maintain that upward trajectory that when they introduced in the 2021 elections. So this is politics at its best. I don't think it's got anything to do with inefficiency or effectiveness. It's politics at its best, and it's unfortunate, you know, that the residents will probably pay the price for this.
And I was going to get to that point to say that what impact then does this politicking, as you're calling it, have on service delivery?
When you have a change of guard, you know, it's been 2 years of Cilliers Brink and his team. When you have a change of guard, what politicians normally do, they start meddling within the administration. And the first person that they want to try and get rid of is the city manager and the chief financial officer. Those are the critical positions, and one hopes that sanity will prevail and that the politicians do not meddle in with the administration. Because I think what they've achieved over the last 2 years, there's a lot of institutional memory. And so you wouldn't want to necessarily meddle with that. But on the other hand, politicians say we want to work with people that we trust. And so if we have political instability, that inevitably spills over to the administration, like we've so often seen.
And one of the parties, of course, that has been key in this particular move is ActionSA. We heard them in the past saying that they will never work with the ANC, but that seems to have changed. I wonder, what are your thoughts on their change of position? We saw them in the city of Johannesburg, now in Tshwane as well.
I think Urban Mashaba was on record in saying that he would never in a million years work with the ANC. It just shows you that you don't have permanent enemies in politics, you only have interest. And so politicians, power is the currency of political parties. Political parties exist to get their hands on power so that they say, this is the direction that we go. Now, if you look at where we are in terms of South Africa, poverty, unemployment, inequality, aging infrastructure, those are all the issues at the local sphere. And with new legislation before Parliament to ensure that we have stability, I think we will have more coalitions to the 2026 elections, and that will mean that where no party has a single majority in the future, then parties will be forced to opt for an executive system which allows for broad proportional representation in an executive instead of this winner-takes-all that we have currently.
And especially because when you look at currently the 3 metros in the economic hub, all currently governed by coalitions, and now you're looking ahead, and of course it seems to be becoming the new reality. But looking at where things stand right now as we move towards 2026, how much of this picture are you expecting to see, especially in the run-up to the local government elections?
We saw this in the Western Cape as well. In Oudtshoorn municipality in the Western Cape, the new coalition fired the municipal manager, brought in a new municipal manager with a very limited experience in running a municipality. And so at the end, the citizens suffer because of this instability. And so one hopes, one would have thought that the government of national unity, that I think there's broad consensus that it is working. You've got broad ideas, broad minds, people from different political persuasions coming to the party and having a pragmatic approach. And I think that is what we need at local government, a pragmatic approach with ethical and accountable leadership, with as broad a representation and a collective minds to make sure that this work. This in 2021, I was on record as saying that the 2 biggest losers, one would have thought that the ANC and the DA would have sorted this out, because the broad idea of the government of national unity prioritizes local government. But the actions of today certainly shows that local government does not seem to be a priority of the government of national unity.
And how much of that can stay as that, that particular scenario? Because you listen to what Solly Msimanga has to say. He says, we now need to re-look at this government of national unity. It can't only seem to be working at a national level, but also when you're seeing what is taking place in the province, it's a different picture. And now at local government as well, it appears to be a different picture.
You see, and that is exactly what this new bill proposed. If there is a motion of no confidence in Cilliers Brink, for example, then parties must say exactly what is it that is that motion of no confidence. And then this new government must be open and frank with the citizen to say, this is our program of action. The new bill before Parliament proposes that when there is a coalition and there's coalition agreement, we need more transparency around that. And it is that citizens are largely kept outside of this, and it is left to the politicians to sort out that. And it's most of the time it's personality driven, because the DA and the DA and ActionSA, they fish in the same pond, similar to the ANC and the EFF. And so what citizens want is stability. They want to make sure that whoever governs looks at poverty, unemployment, and inequality. And hence, when the government of national unity was introduced 100 days ago, it was clear that they wanted to ensure that what happens at the GNU happens at the provincial level as well as at the local sphere. Now, local government, that is where it matters.
And of course,
we need to sort out local government.
Dr. Cloete, it does feel like 100 years, so I don't blame you. I don't blame you at all. Thank you so much for talking to us this afternoon. Appreciate it. That was Dr. Harlan Cloete there from the University of the Free State Centre for Gender and Africa Studies. He's a research fellow there.